the video landscape right now, do you just feel like it's so uncertain?
It's not like clients are like safe. It's like clients are almost like a necessity.
That's just me. I'm bad with clients.
What can happen with fear is it kind of paralyzes you.
And I might even be a component of the problem.
This isn't working.
They don't appreciate it because they didn't pay for it. I don't know if I really want to tell the story. I'm going to tell the story. I don't care. What's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here, and welcome back to another episode of Uncensored. Guys, and I have my amazing co-host, Jarrell. What it do, bro?
What's up, dude? And what's up, Jen?
I'm convinced at this point, Jarrell, that in order to be a filmmaker or a video creator in any way, you have to be a skilled, like samurai skilled, problem negotiator. Like,
100%.
I feel like you have to.
100%.
Because there's going to be a problem, right?
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. Like, I think right now, one of the struggles that I have, like, and hopefully you guys can relate if you guys do this for any sort of a business or a work, I find that I fluctuate from project to project quite a bit. So with the client, so like I can be very firm on this side and then know exactly what I want and what I want to receive out of the project and all sort of deal. And then I'll work with a completely different project. And someone will be like, hey, can you do this for me and this? And I'm like, sure. And I always feel like this super weird, like, did I like not honor what I said with this client when I charged them this? Or like, am I putting more value into this project? Yeah. So many different things. Always a struggle.
Dude, that's the hardest part, I think, for me, especially in like the type of work that we do. You know, I think it can be different if you shoot like weddings, right? Like if you shoot weddings, like, you know, Justin Porter, like he has packages and like he can honor each wedding with those very particular packages. But when you shoot like client work or you shoot like stuff that where there's a lot of variables, it gets really hard to just like compartmentalize a project and be like, oh, I'm just going to take what I did here and I'm going to do the same thing here and I'm going to do the same thing here. Because you're right. There are projects where I see people in the chat already saying pricing. Pricing to me, and I'll be honest, has always been one of the most challenging areas because I can do one project for a client that's worth, let's say it's worth $10,000 for that client. And then I can do the exact same video for another client. And for them, they're like, we just got $2,000. That's all we got.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is like, I got rent to pay. I got bills to pay. So sometimes I'm like, I just did this exact same video for someone else. I charged them 10. I'm doing the exact same video for you. You only value it at 2. You're not budging, but I got to pay my bills. I'm probably going to take the $2,000 and, you know, chalk the loss up to the game because at the end of the day, bills got to get paid.
Yeah, no. And what's so crazy about that too is I feel like, especially in the beginner like mindset, and I even feel like I'm in that sometimes, where I just want to do the best job that I can do for the client, because part of that is I know that this project might not, and clients promise us all the time, where it's like, oh, this project will lead to more projects. That's almost exclusively a lie. Hot take. But
I don't know if it's that hot. Chat, is that hot? I mean, I look, this is perfect.
They always be promising.
This is a perfect reason to have the chat right now. In your experience, when you are working with clients that promise more work if you do this one at a discounted price, how often do you actually get more work for them at a higher price? Not because like it's real easy for them to lock in at that low price, but like how often are you able to really upsell them on the next project? I just want to know. I just want to know. Chat, just let me know, because I don't want to know if I might be crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I feel like it's 99% of the time it doesn't happen. But the thing that I go through is like, I want it to be good, because even though that next project might not be guaranteed from them, like I want to do well for a future client that might see this project. So I might be like prone to bring in a little bit more lighting, or I might be prone to shoot this on maybe a higher quality camera or resolution than what they paid for, because I want it to look good, even though they're not willing to pay for it. And so it's always this struggle of, you know, like, and I admire you for that, because I feel like there's times when you're like, the client didn't pay for that. Put that light away.
Okay, that's okay. Inside joke for a lot of you guys on here, because Jarrell and Travis, who are both in the chat, they both know this about me. If a client doesn't pay for a lighting package, bro, I'm not bringing out a light.
Zero lights.
And like, there are some times where, like, you know, there's those
Put that
jobs.
MC away.
I'm like, yo, they said they want to run natural on this. They don't have like, oh, what did we just bring? Nope, they didn't pay for it. Put that, put it away. Like, I do hold that. I will say, you know, Kevin put never. And like, that has been my experience, is that like, it never happens. Like the next job doesn't come, you know, but to your point, if it is about you getting that job like done really well so that you can sell that to the next client, then I do understand, you know, taking that next step, doing that next initiative. But the thing is like, there has to be a disconnect, you know, between like you and what the client expectation is, and like you understanding that like the client never paid for this, therefore they shouldn't appreciate it either. Because that's the one thing that used to bug me the most, that I learned was like actually like a branding problem, right? Was like, I would go above and beyond for the client, but they didn't expect it, they didn't want it, they didn't pay for it. And then when I didn't feel like they appreciated it, I was like feeling some type of way about it. And I was like, wait a minute, like as I got older and a little bit more mature, I realized they don't appreciate it because they didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean? You shoot yourself in the foot, because if you go above and beyond for the price point that they paid, the next year when you want to charge them more, they're going to be like, well,
just give us what you gave us last time.
Give us what you gave last time. And we want to pay the exact same thing, even though there's inflation, taxes, gases, oil, like all that sort of stuff. Like, oh my gosh.
I really don't think sometimes clients understand that. So as some of you guys know, I got started in the world of video production, shooting a lot of real estate, like a lot of real estate. And recently, I don't know if I really want to tell this story. I'm going to tell the story. I don't care. But recently, I mean, I had got out of the game of real estate, but a client came to me and they wanted me to do their stuff. And I was like, oh man, you know, I don't really do this anymore. And they were like, well, you know, we need you to do it. I was like, all right, but rates have gone up. And so, you know, he's like, fine, we do the deal, whatever. Send him the invoice. And he's like, whoa, okay, yeah, the price went up. And I was like, yeah, the price went up. And this is on me, but I didn't necessarily tell him what the new rate was. He was just so quick to want to move. And I was like, cool, yeah, you want to go? Let's go. And like, he's always paid, so I wasn't really too worried about it. I sent him the invoice. He was like, yo, the price went up. And I was like, yeah, but it's worth it. Look at the video and my time and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, wow, why did the price go up? And like, for me, it was kind of like, I was like, what do you mean? Why did the price go up? Like, the quality has gone up. I'm a better filmmaker, blah, blah, blah. And then I put my ego aside and I was just like, okay, the price legitimately had to go up because I haven't shot for you like in like a year. But let's just look at what has happened in the world in the last year. Like, food has gone up, gas has gone up, cost of living has gone up. Like, all these other things in the world that makes my life more expensive have gone up. So of course, what I charge today can't be what I charged a year ago, logically. But I don't know why sometimes just clients don't necessarily see that, because as far as they're concerned, the service is the same. And that to me has been like one of the challenging things that, like, normally as prices have gone up in the last, like over the course of my like career, it has been like, oh, I got better. I have better lighting setup. The cameras have gotten better. The productions are better. We're helping with pre-pro. We're doing script writing. Like, we're adding in all these services that quote unquote justify a more expensive premium project, right? But sometimes, especially it feels like, especially in this last year, sometimes your prices just got to go up because the cost of doing business has gone up because the world has gotten more expensive. And I think that has been like one of the most challenging things for me personally, just in the last year.
No, that's so good. There's 3 buckets that I want to drop something in, and then you can pick from the 3 buckets.
Okay.
One that I think about in that is the clients never realize that we are constantly growing.
Yeah.
Like upgrading gear, getting more education, getting better. Like, they don't realize that. And so if I showed up to the shoot last year with a $2,000 camera and I'm showing up with a $5,000 camera, And now I'm able to utilize that camera better and learn new lighting techniques and make it better. They don't realize that.
Yeah.
The second bucket is pricing creativity feels like a crapshoot.
Oh man.
You could film something for Apple and charge them $100,000 and they could be like, drop in the bucket. You could film something for your local dentist and they might be like, to me, it's only worth $100. And then the third bucket that you, like say, you can pick from either one of those. But I feel like to me, the so hardest part when it comes to working with clients is somehow we tie our own personal value. Like how good we are with pricing and also with validation of them liking the work. And so all of those things, gosh, I don't know where you want to go with it, but it's all a struggle bus.
Dude, okay, so first I got to point out Kevin's comment. He says clients understand it. They just play dumb to get the cheaper price. And you know what? I believe Kevin. I really do. I think some of them legitimately don't understand, but there are certain elements where they do. You know, I think that second bucket that you mentioned, pricing creativity, dude, that's so tough. That's so tough because there's even certain elements where, like, you know, I've done consultation calls with editors a lot, and like, you know, they'll be like, oh, like, you know, how should I price my edits, like by the hour? And I'm like, that's kind of tough because, you know, then you're actually literally like, the better you are, the more you get penalized. Because if you could do something in an hour, but you're charging $100 an hour, then you only get $100. But if you suck at editing and you charge $50 an hour, but it takes you 10 hours to do the same job, like, you know, so it gets tough when you have to like price like efficiency and creativity in one thing. So I do understand like there's a value difference of like, how do you price, you know, your creativity. But I think it is that third bucket that you mentioned, like how we tie ourselves to our work, where it's like we almost, like, our work as a creative is almost impossible to detach from ourselves. And so it's almost like when we price our work, we are also pricing ourselves. And then when we get like belittled or they try to undercut our price, or, you know, those type of things start to happen, it starts to feel like you're personally devaluing like me. And I think that is probably one of the things that like I have struggled with so much. And like, I will say the way that I've overcome this, and I'm not perfect, definitely not perfect. Like, the only thing that has sort of helped me in this journey, in this quest, has now been working with teams, because instead of it being just me, I can't really negotiate too much, right? Because I'm like, no, you can't undercut because I've got payroll. Like, I got people on my team that I need to pay. And the other thing that actually happened at the same time was the client, in a lot of these cases, they actually see a higher value of what they're paying, because when I say, oh yeah, my editor, blah, 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 they're like, oh, I'm getting an editor with this project too, you know? And I'm like, yeah, me and my team, when we come out and film, that word "we" goes a long way towards value. They're like, oh, wow, okay, so blah, 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 blah. So, okay, when I'm paying him this, like, oh, he can't really negotiate, because what I'm actually paying for right now is a full team, not just you, Brandon. You know what I mean? And that has helped a lot, but I still...
Hold on, pause there.
Yeah.
That's a life hack, because I've tried to upsell clients by saying, well, I can bring on several shooters. And then they're debating and weighing, do we need that? I don't know if we need that. We could just have you. But I think if what you said, you're just like, oh, my team, like we're coming out to film this, then all of a sudden it's not like you're not leaving it up to them to decide whether or not that is a value add that you need.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for clients to understand how much help and how much of a team aspect video creation can be. And so I think by just letting them know, hey, this requires a team to do. And so if you want to work with us, you're getting a team, especially if you're currently in that one man band, you know, situation, which, trust me, I get it, did it for a long time. It definitely you breathe a lot more once you don't have the one man band thing going on. But like as soon as you can unlock that possibility to like work with the team and then you share that with the client, it goes a long way. But also, I have found for me that it makes it a little bit easier for me to detach kind of like selfishly, like, okay, the price of this project is the value of Brandon because it's
Mhm.
like, it's not. Now it's the value of the team, which even I value higher. So it's easier for me to kind of force request what is actually deserved for the project.
Creatives, like we always get, I don't know, like made fun of, like in the sense of like the sensitive types. But yeah, there's just something to just putting yourself out there, working hard, and then someone not valuing it or coming back and being like, it feels personal, it feels deep. And I think you can work beyond it. But yeah, no, that's a hard one.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we did put a little Q&A in the chat. Question of the day: what are the biggest struggles right now in the world of video? Jarrell, I'd like to ask you before we go in there. What are your current biggest struggles right now in the world of video?
Yeah, so I think for me, one of the biggest things is that kind of that first part that I was talking about, just that pricing continuity, um, wanting to grow, being realistic about where I am currently, and then also, just like it sounds cliche, but just kind of like continuing to level up in clientele. One of the things that I was working on a few years ago is I was thinking very much to myself of like, I need to find these like $10,000, $20,000 jobs. And like, I don't know if you guys in the chat have ever been able to do that, but like that's never been something I've been able to do. I've had like a $6,000 job, which was cool, which was awesome. But figuring out like how do you get there and what does that look like? And I discovered something at the end of last year that was able to help me double that, but it kind of just changed how I thought about video production and just how I went about going and doing things. And so, yeah, that's one of my biggest struggles is just like, how do I get better and charge more for my services?
I think the thing that I'm currently struggling with the most, and this is going to sound very like just Brandon for a second, but it's I got into the world of video production and like shooting for clients more as like a necessity. Like I need to pay bills and I want to do what I love in the process.
Mm,
But for me, I have been finding that like my ultimate goal was to get into making films. And I think I've gotten comfortable in
mm,
shooting for clients. And the idea of moving into films is scary.
mm,
And I know it's time for me to make that jump. Which means, like, in order like, I mean, I know Kevin is here and he works a lot and he's been working on a lot of different films and stuff, and, like, he can probably attest to, like, how much work a film actually requires, and I know how much work it's gonna require, but I also know that means it's gonna take time away from other elements, whether that's YouTube or clients or, whatever else is going on, but I know that, like, the reason why I picked up a camera initially, was because I wanted to make movies. Like, I wanted to make something that was gonna be seen in a theater or I wanted to tell real stories, but I have gotten into the client world so much and have been working through that. And it's been like kind of my job that like the idea of like taking a small step away from that and going more into the film side of things actually scares the living crap out of me, but I know it's where I wanna be and it's what I wanna try to do, but it's just like that unknown, and, like, I haven't had that feeling since I probably picked up a camera for the very first time and was trying to figure out clients and all that stuff, and, like,
mhm.
I went through that battle and I figured it out, but it took a long time and it was a lot of headaches and a lot of sleepless nights, but now as I know I'm ready to step into the film world, that I know that I'm gonna have to deal with all of that again, and that to me scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, for sure. The first thing that kind of, pops in my mind, it's not like clients are like safe. It's like clients are almost like a necessity. Like
Yes.
there's bills to pay and there's a lot on your shoulders. And so I resonate with that just because, oh my goodness, if I can only imagine that your first one, two, three films are not going to net you a whole lot of money.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I mean, films, especially like, independent films, are not notorious for making a lot of money. And in today's landscape of films in general, it's kind of a crapshoot, like so many films go directly to streaming platforms. A lot of filmmakers are having to release their films like self-funded completely. And then I don't know. And like I think for a lot of people, especially in the world of video, and I'd love to know in the chat if you guys agree with me or not, but it just feels like the video landscape right now just feels so like you just feel like so uncertain
Mhm.
about a lot of stuff. Like there's people talking about AI, and then there's people talking about like Hollywood as a structure is like falling apart right now. And then like streaming is like even the streaming platforms are not really doing very well. And then you have someone like a Casey Neistat who's like, yeah, just do YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing YouTube. It's like, am I already in the right place? Like there's just so much like uncertainty that I've not really felt about our industry as a whole in a really, really long time. Like even a lot of like the people I know who do work in the industry who like shoot commercials professionally or do like big time stuff, like even they are like, hey, yeah, the industry's kind of weird right now. Like jobs are slowing down. There was just a big strike and now there's another strike that's like looming and stuff like that. And so it's just like there's so much uncertainty right now. It just kind of has me like in this weird limbo where I'm like, just kind of like treading water, but I don't know which direction I should swim.
Yeah, definitely. So as I kind of think about that, Brandon, what are some of the things that you're doing to overcome that fear? And have you set a plan in place? Because I know for me personally, what can happen with fear and what can happen with scariness and all that sort of stuff is it kind of paralyzes you and doesn't really allow you to realize like your dreams. And so you already feel like you're at a point of recognizing, like, hey, these are some things that are maybe holding me back. So, what are some things that you have kind of thought to do to kind of put in place so that you're able to realize some of those dreams?
I mean, the truth is, I don't know. I mean, realistically, I mean, I don't know yet. I mean, I will say I have learned, and I heard somebody say this on it was like an Instagram reel or something like that. But and it's something that I've taken to heart is that fear as is just as afraid of you as you are of it,
Mm,
right? And so the only times that I've like seen massive changes is when something was like I was afraid of something and I just ran at it head on. Like case in point, like our red event that we did a few weeks ago. Full transparency, that was terrifying.
mm,
Like the idea of trying to get 100 plus people in a room, getting sponsors, like having like we had like all these different like shooting scenarios, like like the ballet dancers and the skateboarders and the crossfitters and the LED wall, like all of that. Like I had that in my head, but the idea of like executing it, and honestly, up until the moment that we opened the doors, I was terrified
mm.
that no one was gonna show up. I was gonna be like, man, I called in every favor, like Scott, who normally tunes in here, like he was there. Like I had Kofi flew in from Toronto to be there. Justin Porter drove like 4 hours from San Antonio to be here. Like all this stuff happened, and like we spent all this money, and like I was terrified nobody was gonna be there. But I will say it was exhilarating to have that moment and like to experience the event. But like, truth be told, dude, like it was terrifying. But that's the kind of like example of like I was scared the entire time. Uh Honestly, up until it was done. Like even in the middle of it, I think I kept running over to people and be like, are people having fun? Are people enjoying it? Like, is this a good thing? Like, are people having like I was still afraid that
Mhm.
people weren't gonna enjoy the event. Um, but that's been it for me. It's just like even with the films, it's like, yes, it is a film. Yes, I want to make the film, but like I'm just terrified. And so it's like I just gotta like force myself to run through it. I think that's the only way I've ever been able to overcome it.
Dude, really appreciate you being vulnerable. Like, I think that, like, when you're able to share that, when I experience like things that I'm like, because oh my gosh, man, I was working on a short film for my church. for last Christmas, and I had been working on it for 3 or 4 months, and I was so proud of it, so pumped for it. And then it came to the night of premiere, and I was like, I didn't care if anyone saw it. I actually didn't want people to saw it because I was so afraid that if they saw it and they were like, or that was okay,
Yeah.
like whatever. And that feeling can feel so isolating when you put yourself out there,
Hmm.
and you're not really sure how people are going to respond. And so it's so cool to know that, like, that's something that, like, we all experience, that especially when you feel so deeply or passionate about something and you pour your life into something and you don't really know, and you just kind of have to trust that, like, hey, I'm gonna put this baby in your hands, please don't kill it, sort of deal. And so, no, I definitely appreciate you in saying that. And the dope part about that is because the event was so incredible, I'm so excited for any future event that we might do, because now there's like a blueprint of, like, now that you've swam in that ocean,
Yeah.
like, obviously there's still going to be like some like nervousness attached to future things, but the cool part is you've gained so much ground that you don't have to, like, now wonder, can we do this, can this be pulled off?
Yeah.
Now it's just like, we have a new base camp, we moved that much further up the mountain.
You're right to the idea of, like, you just gotta have to do it.
Hmm.
And then once you've done it, you're not starting from zero. And I think that's my thing. I just need to do it. And I'm gonna say this for everybody else, because, like, this episode's starting to feel like Brandon's therapy hour. um, like, whatever it is that you're going through, you just gotta go do it. Like, don't be afraid. Definitely run head on into it. And I'm saying that as someone who, like, hasn't fully done that in the film world, which is exactly what I'm hoping to do in the future. But, like, that's definitely my goal. What's that comment there say?
Yeah, it says fear is a motivator. Use it to launch yourself forward rather than having it keep you back. I'm scared on every set. Anything can happen.
Dude, look, look, I think I resonate with that so much. I feel like going into any project, I'm like prepping. I'm like, okay, think about this. Think about this. All right, do we have enough of this? Do we have this project? Do we have this person in place? And then it's like the moment you actually walk on set and, like, people start looking at you like, all right, what are we doing? That's when, like, all the fear hits me.
Bro, I had that situation like 2 weeks ago. I'm setting up for some sports photography, and a place that I had not shot at, and trying a different technique. And literally, I'm snapping the picture and it's coming out. I mean, embarrassing. And I'm like literally like frozen. Like, and I keep just taking the same photo, thinking like maybe there's just something wrong with my camera. Maybe it'll change by the 20th test image. And then literally the lady, the director was like, "All right, are you ready?" And I'm like, "Pull your crap together right now." And it literally was like, "All right." And like, I'm just so thankful that I've done it for long enough to be like, okay, this isn't working. You're not just going to sit here for the next 3 hours and take crappy images. Like, you're
Yeah,
not going to do that. Like,
right.
that's not an option. And so just pulled it together. But yeah, that fear that you're talking about, it shows up on every set. And you just have to have enough experience, trust in the people around you, believe in them, and then literally pull your crap together.
Yeah.
And if you don't, go back through that set later on and be like, because I like literally, that's what I did when I got home. I was like, why didn't this lighting set up? Why did everything look washed out? Why did everything look terrible? Like, why didn't I get the separation from the background that I thought? And I literally sat down and I was like, it was a combination of the haze and my lighting was too wide, too widespread.
Hmm.
And so, of course, everything was looking washed out and crazy. Like, you add the haze and you add like massive beams of light, it's going to look crazy.
Yeah.
And so, diagnosing your problems at the end, so critical.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I personally love about, this craft is there's a lot of times where what we think we're gonna get and what we actually get are different. And we, like we said at the beginning, you have to be able to problem solve
Mhm.
in real time. But it's one of those things where, like, you can go online, you can go on YouTube, and you can watch a million videos that teach you exactly how to do the thing, and then when you go out there and try to do it, it doesn't always work out that way,
Mhm.
but that's where, like, the craft of the problem solve comes into play, where it's like, "Can I get this to work? How do I make the adjustments in real time?" And I think as filmmakers, photographers, creators in general, especially once you start getting to a place where you're charging people to create something for them, you've gotta build up that problem solving skill, and
Mhm.
that's the one thing I really don't see a lot of people talk about online. Like, how do you overcome a crappy situation? How do you go into an office that looks bland and actually make it look worth filming? Like, that's the kind of stuff I think is really, really interesting. Like, I found instead of pursuing perfection, I'm like pursuing enjoyment, and finding things to be like grateful and excited about and enjoy the little wins, like when that client does pay the invoice, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I
Oh, yeah.
posted a reel of me dancing because, like, that's how you feel. Like, when that
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
invoice gets paid, like, it's party time, you know what I mean? Like, enjoy that. Enjoy the conversations you get to have with other creators. Like, enjoy being on set because the crazy thing for a lot of working professionals is probably the last time you are on set, you won't know it's your last time on set.
Mhm.
And so I try to appreciate every project. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, right? But I try to appreciate every set as if it is my last set. And every time I get a chance to shoot a video, I try to remind myself, like, dude, I'm very blessed to be able to, like, say that, like, I get to do this in any capacity, whether you're doing it for free and you just have the camera in your hand and you get a chance to express yourself creatively using a camera, or if you're blessed enough to be able to, monetarily be able to monetize it and make money and make a living off of it. Like, all of that is a huge blessing. And so trying to remember that is
Mhm.
the thing that I try to hold on to. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it because I'm definitely not perfect at it. I have my days where I'm like, this sucks. I'm going to go get a W-2 job. But I try to remind myself, like, no, the
Yeah.
pros outweigh the cons. I am getting a chance to do what I love on a regular basis. Today's just not the day.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? But
Yeah.
most of the time it's good.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I appreciate is especially when you look up to someone, because people look up to people and they say, "Oh man, like you're a benchmark, you're a person that I want to." I was listening to one of Dave Chappelle's comedy specials, and he was like, "Man, I got booed out of Detroit," and I just think to myself, like, how in the world did an audience boo him? And it's because he flopped,
Yeah.
and he knew that he flopped.
Yeah. I know
And
exactly what
so,
you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so funny because it's one of those things where, we're all, like you said, I love what you said. We're all human. Not only can, something go wrong on the client's end, something can go wrong on our end. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I've pulled away is like every year you watch the Grammys and there's feedback or a mic is muted or they're cut to the wrong camera angle and you're just like, oh, we're all humans. Like we're
Yes.
gonna make mistakes. I'm not gonna beat myself up just because I have a flop. It doesn't send me 20 years back. It just means I'm human. I'm gonna learn from it. I'm gonna do better next time. But like this is not gonna defeat me.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think anyone who's watching this right now, that should be the biggest takeaway is that, like, we're all human. We're all living a human experience, and that no matter where you are in your creative journey, you will always be a human in that journey. And the whole beauty of humanity is the imperfections. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, the things that make us unique are our own individual imperfections. That to me is so amazing. And, like, that's why I love doing what we do, because we get a chance to, like, do this on a regular basis. Like, our live streams, they're not always perfect. We make mistakes all the time. Creators make mistakes all the time. And so I think that's something that you should embrace and, like, learn from, but don't shy away from.
Well, that's so good. Well, incredible episode today.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this week's episode. I hope you guys got your questions answered. I hope you guys feel empowered going into next week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Easter Sunday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. God bless you and see you guys next week. Peace.